Hey there, fellow brain enthusiasts. Ready for a deep dive into the intricate world of canine neuroanatomy? Today, we're strapping on those thinking caps, and we're going to be exploring some groundbreaking research that's given us a high-resolution atlas of white matter tracks in the dog brain. Now, before you think white matter, sounds a bit dry. Trust me, this is where things get really exciting, especially if you're a neurology nerd like me. We're talking about the intricate network of fibers that connect different regions of the brain, enabling those lightning-fast reflexes' incredible olfactory capabilities. And yes, even those adorable senior moments we see in our older patients. Joining me today is our resident brain whisperer, here to help us unpack the technical intricacies and clinical significance of this canine brain atlas. So let's dive right in. You know, I love a good visual, so when I first saw the DTI images in this research, I was blown away by the level of detail. It's like someone took a high-powered microscope to those neural highways, revealing connections we'd never seen before. Expert speaker, can you give us the rundown on why dog brains are such valuable models for understanding our own neurological landscapes?
What's fascinating here is that dogs are more than just our furry companions. They're neurological mirrors reflecting many aspects of the human brain. This makes them incredibly valuable for studying a range of neurological conditions. One key similarity is that both dogs and humans have gyrencephalic brains, meaning they have those characteristic folds and grooves that increase surface area. If you look at the DTI images, you can clearly see how these folds influence the organization of white matter tracks, creating a complex interwoven network that's remarkably similar to ours.
It's like comparing a city map of London to a map of New York City. They both have unique layouts, but they share that same intricate network of streets and avenues reflecting a similar level of complexity.
That's a great analogy. And the structural similarity translates to functional similarities as well. Dogs experience age-related cognitive decline, much like humans do, with changes occurring in those same frontotemporal brain regions we associate with memory and executive function.
So those senior moments we chuckle at, like our dogs forgetting where they put their favorite chew toy, might actually be giving us clues about the aging human brain.
Precisely. And it's not just cognitive decline. Dogs are predisposed to many of the same neurological diseases as humans, including epilepsy, brain tumors, and even dementia. By studying these conditions in dogs using advanced imaging techniques like DTI, we can potentially unlock new insights into diagnosis, treatment, and even prevention in both species.
This is where this new atlas shines. They use DTI, which I have to say is so much cooler than your standard MRI. Expert speaker, for those of us who geek out on this stuff, can you break down what makes DTI so special?
Absolutely. While a traditional MRI gives us a fantastic snapshot of brain anatomy, think of it as a beautifully detailed anatomical drawing. DTI takes us a step further. It allows us to visualize the movement of water molecules within the brain's white matter. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Water molecules don't just flow randomly in the brain. They tend to move along the direction of white matter fibers. By tracking this movement, DTI can tell us how organized and healthy those white matter tracks are.
So instead of just seeing the roads on our brain map, we're actually getting information about the traffic flow. Are we talking smooth sailing or rush hour gridlock?
Exactly. And this information is captured in a measure called fractional anisotropy, or FA. High FA indicates well-organized, coherent white matter tracks. Think of it as a superhighway with all lanes open and traffic flowing smoothly. Low FA, on the other hand, suggests disruption or disorganization of those fibers. Think roadblocks, detours, and maybe even a few potholes.
So if we're looking at a DTI image, those bright defined tracks mean healthy connections, while those dimmer, more diffuse areas could be a sign of trouble.
Precisely. And this level of detail is what makes this new canine brain atlas so groundbreaking.
This atlas isn't just about pretty pictures. It's about understanding how those intricate pathways relate to specific functions and how they're affected by disease. Expert speaker, this atlas dives deep into different types of white matter tracks: projection association, commissural, and cerebellar, each playing a crucial role in the canine symphony of behavior. Let's start with those long-distance connections, the projection tracks. What are we seeing in those DTI images?
The projection tracks are like the brain's long-haul trekking routes connecting distant areas across the brain. One of the most prominent projection tracks clearly visible in this atlas is the corticospinal tract, or CST. You can see it running like a ribbon of fibers from the cortex, where higher-level processing happens all the way down the spinal cord. The CST is crucial for voluntary movement. In dogs, think about those lightning-fast reflexes, the agility course maneuvers, even that perfectly timed paw shake. Those actions all rely on a healthy functioning CST.
It's fascinating to think that we can now visualize this crucial pathway in such detail in a living dog. I'm already imagining how this could change the game for diagnosing and treating spinal cord injuries or diseases that affect movement.
You're absolutely right. This atlas provides a baseline for comparison, allowing us to identify subtle changes in the CST that might not be visible with conventional imaging techniques. Now, another fascinating set of projection tracks revealed in this atlas are the thalamic radiations. Think of the thalamus as Grand Central Station, but for sensory information. It receives input from all the senses: sight, smell, hearing, touch, and relays it to different parts of the cortex for processing. The thalamic radiations are like the train tracks radiating out from Grand Central, carrying those sensory messages to their destinations.
So if my dog goes bonkers for a game of fetch, we can actually see those signals traveling from his eyes through the thalamus and then to the parts of his brain responsible for recognizing the ball, planning the chase, and coordinating those impressive leaps and bounds.
Exactly. And this atlas provides an unprecedented level of detail about those sensory pathways. One fascinating finding relates to the optic tract, which carries visual information from the eyes to the brain. The research team identified several previously unknown branches and connections within the optic tract, giving us new insights into how dogs process visual information.
This is incredible. It seems like this atlas is rewriting what we thought we knew about the canine visual system.
It's truly remarkable, and we've only just scratched the surface. We still have those local roads of the brain, the association tracks to explore, which play a crucial role in integrating information and coordinating complex behaviors. But that's a journey for our next segment.
All right, let's shift gears from those long-haul routes and zoom in on the local roads of the canine brain, the association tracks. These are the connections that link different regions within the same hemisphere, allowing for more intricate processing and integration of information. Expert speaker, the research highlighted some fascinating details about these association tracks, particularly the cingulum. I've always been intrigued by this part of the brain. What makes it so special?
The cingulum is like the emotional backbone of the brain. It's a major player in linking emotions, memories, and decision-making, which, as we know, are all intertwined. If you look at the DTI images, you can see how the cingulum arches around the corpus callosum, connecting various parts of the limbic system, including the amygdala, hippocampus, and prefrontal cortex. This intricate network allows dogs to form emotional associations with experiences, places, and even objects.
So when my dog goes nuts at the mere sight of his leash, his cingulum's basically saying, "Walkies, remember all the fun we had? Let's go, let's go."
Exactly. And it works both ways. Remember those chewed up slippers you mentioned earlier? The cingulum plays a role in those less than pleasant memories too, though perhaps not as effectively as we'd like.
Yes, the memories we wish we could erase. It's amazing how these DTI images reveal the physical connections underlying those emotional responses.
Absolutely. And speaking of incredible connections, this atlas uncovered some groundbreaking details about the canine olfactory system.
Okay, now we're talking about one of my favorite topics. We all know dogs have superpowered noses, but this research takes it to a whole new level, right?
Absolutely. The olfactory bulb, which is the part of the brain that processes smells, is already significantly larger in dogs compared to humans. But this atlas revealed previously unknown connections within the olfactory system. For example, they found a novel pathway linking the olfactory bulb directly to the amygdala, which is the brain's emotional center.
Now, that's a direct line to emotional responses. It makes sense, though. Think about how powerfully dogs react to scents, whether it's the joy of sniffing out a hidden treat or the anxiety triggered by the smell of a thunderstorm.
Precisely. This direct connection between smell and emotion is likely why scent plays such a crucial role in a dog's world, influencing everything from social interactions to survival instincts.
This research makes me wonder if understanding these pathways could lead to advancements in scent detection training. Imagine if we could enhance those connections, making those working dogs even more effective at sniffing out danger, finding missing people, or even detecting diseases.
You're thinking like a true neuroscientist. This atlas provides a roadmap for future research, opening up new avenues for understanding and potentially even manipulating these pathways to improve the lives of dogs and humans.
This is mind-blowing. We've talked about the emotional highways and those incredible olfactory connections, but we can't forget the ultimate bridge, the one that ensures both sides of the brain are in sync, the corpus callosum. What insights did this atlas reveal about this massive bundle of fibers?
The corpus callosum is like the Brooklyn Bridge of the brain, facilitating communication and coordination between the two hemispheres. You can see it clearly in the DTI images, a thick band of fibers running right down the center. This atlas provides the most detailed map yet of the canine corpus callosum, showing how it connects different regions within each hemisphere.
So you know how some people joke about being left-brained or right-brained? This
Mhm.
is the bridge that makes sure both sides work together, integrating those analytical and creative functions.
Exactly. And this atlas is already shedding light on how developmental disorders can affect the corpus callosum in dogs' conditions that often mirror those seen in humans. This research could pave the way for earlier diagnosis and more targeted interventions.
This is incredible. It seems like every pathway we explore leads to new discoveries and potential breakthroughs. We've covered the long-haul routes, the local roads, and even the grand central station of the canine brain. But we can't forget about the cerebellum, that little brain at the back that's all about balance, coordination, and those amazing feats of canine athleticism. Expert speaker, what insights did this DTI Atlas offer into the cerebellar tracts?
The cerebellum is often overlooked, but it's a powerhouse when it comes to motor control, balance, and coordination. In the DTI images, you can see how the cerebellar tracts connect the cerebellum to the brainstem and the spinal cord, forming crucial pathways for relaying motor commands and sensory feedback. This atlas provides a detailed roadmap of these cerebellar tracts in dogs, offering a new level of understanding of how they contribute to everything from a graceful gait to those impressive leaps and bounds we see in our canine athletes.
So studying these pathways could be a game changer for treating diseases that affect movement and coordination, not just in dogs, but potentially in humans as well.
Absolutely. This atlas could pave the way for developing new therapies for conditions like cerebellar ataxia, which can rob both dogs and humans of their coordination and balance. It's incredible to think that we can now visualize these intricate pathways in such detail and study how they're affected by disease.
This entire deep dive has been a mind-blowing journey. We've gone from those long-haul trucking routes of the projection tracks to the bustling city streets of the association tracks, crossed the Corpus Callosum Bridge, and even explored the powerhouse of movement, the cerebellum. This canine connectome is truly awe-inspiring.
It's amazing what we're learning about the brains of our canine companions and how much they can teach us about our own neurological landscapes. But this research goes beyond simply labeling parts and creating a beautiful atlas. It has real-world implications for veterinary medicine and beyond.
Okay, so what does this all mean for those of us on the front lines of animal care? How will this atlas actually be used to help our furry patients?
One of the most immediate impacts will be in standardizing canine brain research. This atlas provides a common language, a universal map for researchers worldwide, making it easier to compare findings across different studies and eliminate the confusion that can arise from variations in brain anatomy.
So no more comparing apples to oranges, or should I say, beagles to Great Danes. This atlas provides a standardized framework for understanding the canine brain, regardless of breed or size differences.
Precisely. This standardization will accelerate our understanding of normal brain function in dogs and how diseases hijack those intricate pathways.
And speaking of disease, this research has huge potential for studying neurological disorders in dogs. We've touched on some of those conditions like dementia, epilepsy, and cerebellar ataxia. How will this atlas change the way we approach diagnosis and treatment?
This atlas provides a baseline, a blueprint of what a healthy dog brain looks like. By comparing this baseline to the brains of dogs with neurological diseases, we can pinpoint subtle changes in white matter tracts, potentially leading to earlier diagnoses even before clinical signs are obvious.
So we're talking about catching these diseases in their early stages when interventions might be more effective. That's a game changer for so many dogs and their families.
Exactly. Early diagnosis is crucial. And beyond diagnosis, this atlas opens up exciting possibilities for developing more targeted treatments. Imagine being able to pinpoint the precise location of a lesion in the brain, predict its impact on a dog's behavior, and tailor treatments with incredible accuracy.
This atlas is like having a GPS for the canine brain, guiding us towards more precise and effective interventions. It's incredible to think about the possibilities. This research is groundbreaking not just for our understanding of canine brains, but for human health as well. Expert speaker, thanks for joining us on this incredible journey through the canine connectome. It's clear that this research is just the beginning, paving the way for a future where we can better understand, diagnose, and treat neurological disorders in both dogs and humans. From Vet NeuroJar, keep those minds, inspired hearts, light and tails wagging.